All right, what's happening, folks? So we got a pay-per-view worth watching. I seen last UFC. Some of you guys made some good money. I'm on BetUS there. That's what I like to see. Super happy for you guys. We're not trying to hit the lotto, but every week or every month, we're trying to profit. Right at the end of the month, if we can make 3 4 G's a month, let's say, and you're paying your rent from just watching UFC fights, doing something you love, and that, in my opinion, that's a win, right? Let's say we have 4 events in a year. If you profit on 3 events out of the four, that, in my opinion, is a win. You're not gonna win them all. It's impossible. It's sports betting, not sports winning. But as long as you're making money at the end of the day, and your sports betting portfolio is in the positive and not the negative, that is a good sign. So we got Glover Teixeira, Jamal Hill. Let's see here. I'm going to start in the beginning at the top. Usually I start from the underdogs, work my way up. But in this situation, we're going to start with the fire. Started off banging. Man, I love Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira is a monster. Problem is, he's getting old, all right? When's father time going to kick in? I took him to win his last fight against Yuri, and man, that was a close fight. That fight could have went either way. If that was a rematch, it could literally go either way, right? This fight versus Jamal Hill, clearly Jamal Hill is probably the better striker, I'm assuming. He does have heavy hands. Glover is a good striker himself, but clearly if this fight goes to the ground, Glover Teixeira, clearly has going to be having the jiu-jitsu advantage. He Jamal Hill has been submitted before by Paul Craig. He got caught in a triangle. He might have got his arm broken. It was a weird situation, but he never tapped, and like Herb Dean stopped the fight. It was just weird. I think he might have broken the arm. However, Glover Teixeira, he's not a bottom game fighter. He's not like a Paul Craig. Both guys are jiu-jitsu guys, but Paul Craig likes to pull guard, fights off his back. Glover Teixeira, top game guy, more like a Carlson Gracie background. I don't think he's a Carlson Gracie guy, but it's like that Carlson Gracie style, that heavy top pressure, top passing. That's Glover Teixeira style, and he's got good wrestling to back up his jiu-jitsu. He can take the fight to the ground. You've seen him dominate guys like Jan Blachowicz, and that was not too long ago. That was only you know 2021, at the end of 2021. Fought Yuri in just a probably one of the fight of the years, and now he's taking on Jamal Hill. Even odds, this fight is a flip 'em. Jamal Hill could easily go out there and just, land a big one and put Glover Teixeira away the same way like Anthony Smith put him away, right? He's on a 3 fight win streak. He's been looking good, all finishes. He even finished Thiago Santos. You don't really see Thiago Santos getting finished. Mm, you know, Unfortunately for Jamal, I'm going to lean towards Glover Teixeira. I think Glover Teixeira coming out, if he comes out with the right game plan, I know he's 43 or whatever, but I think if he comes out with that right game plan, takes Jamal Hill to the ground, I think he can win the fight. Now, that being said, if he goes out there and he tries to box and he gets caught, hey, that could very well happen. Jamal Hill hits hard. He's a southpaw. And yeah, but we'll see. I'm thinking Glover Teixeira is going to be able to get the fight to the ground. I think he's just fought better opposition, and that experience factor might play a difference. But we'll see if he's able to get this fight to the ground, because if not, it might be sweet dreams. Up next, Davison Figueiredo, Brandon Moreno. Like, what is this? The fourth matchup now. These guys are just the top guys in that division. There's pretty much no one else to fight. That 125 division, it's just boring. Like, yeah, Henry Cejudo's gone, and we just got Moreno and Figueiredo. They're just going to keep fighting each other. Like, come on right now. So, Figueiredo, he's got 3 straight fights with Brandon Moreno. This is the fourth one, right? So, his last 3 fights were all to the same opponent, Brandon Moreno. The first fight, draw. Second fight, he lost. He got choked out. And then the last fight, in beginning of 2022, he won the unanimous decision over Brandon Moreno. Now, Brandon Moreno, he's been a little bit more active. He had those matches with Davis and Figueiredo, and then he had a great win over Kai Car France. This one is a toss-em. They had 3 fights. They're 1-1-1. Brandon Moreno's 29. How old is Figueiredo? Figueiredo is 35. So he's still in his prime, but he's going to start hitting the down end of that. The thing is Figueiredo, he's having a hard time making the weight. I want to see Figueiredo at 135. Yeah, I'm slightly leaning towards Figueiredo. I mean, if the over on this fight, I think this fight's probably going to go over 2-3.5 rounds. This one is another one, right? This is what I'd like to see. This is why I don't like boxing, because if you go to the boxing odds, whatever event it is, you'll see guys -2,000, -3,000. That's not a fight. That's not a fight in my opinion. You already know who's going to win, right? The guy's -3,000. You already know who's going to win. Why even do that? You're just padding Buddy's record. But this is a pick 'em, odds. You can literally bet on Moreno and you're going to double up, or Figueiredo, you're going to double up your money. And it's a dead even fight. Both guys got great ground games. Both guys, good on the feet. I would say the cardio advantage probably goes to Moreno. I would say the power advantage probably goes to Figueiredo. And, that fight's a toss. I'm slightly leaning towards Figueiredo. I just think he's a little better, more exciting for that division. But, to be honest, I'm not really a fan of the 125ers. If the UFC got rid of the 125 division, I wouldn't be too upset about it. 135, on the other hand, 135 is stacked. Now, Gilbert Burns, Neil Magny. Just a bad matchup for Neil Magny. Bad matchup. I mean, Neil Magny, he likes to push the pace on people. He has a great cardio. He's got a great cardio. He's going to have the cardio advantage on Gilbert Burns. Problem is, it's only 3 rounds. So he's not going to be able to really use that cardio. Now, Neil Magny likes to grapple, and that's just not going to work for him this fight. You're not going to be able to grapple with Gilbert Burns. You're not out grappling Gilbert Burns. He'll crush you in the grappling department. Jiu-jitsu world champion. So Gilbert is going to dominate the grappling. Who wins in the striking department? Well, Neil Magny's a good striker. The problem is he doesn't hit with too much power, right? And Gilbert Burns hits hard, man. Gilbert Burns hits really hard. You've seen his fight with Hamzat. That was a death match. His fight with Usman, great fight. He almost wobbled Usman. I think Gilbert Burns smokes Neil Magny everywhere. I just think this is a horrible matchup for Neil Magny, and Gilbert Burns should easily get that one. Up next, Paul the Bear Jew versus Johnny Walker. Now, Johnny Walker, he was coming off some losses. He had a few straight losses, and then he had that fight with Ion Cutelaba. It was back and forth in that first round, but then he was able to get the back and choke Ion Cutelaba out. I don't think he's going to be able to take Paul Craig's back and choke him out. Before that, he wasn't looking that good either. He had 2 straight losses. One was a vicious knockout to Jamal Hill. Paul, on the other hand, the Bear Jew, he had a unanimous decision loss to Volkan Ozdemir. It was a close fight, back and forth. But before that, he had some good submissions. He was locking up, is Johnny Walker. He's a Brazilian. I'm sure, these Brazilians, they all got jiu-jitsu games. Is he going to be able to stop the takedown? Not even the takedown. Stop Paul Craig from even pulling guard and pulling him into you. Because Paul Craig will pull guard. He doesn't even need to take you down. This guy will pull guard, and somehow all he needs is some arm control. And, he's got triangles, arm bars off his back from every single direction. He's very dangerous off his back. Even when you think you got him hurt, just get out of his guard, stand up, get out of there. I'm going with the underdog on this one. I like Paul Craig. I got to go with Paul Craig on this one, the Bear Jew. I think with the right game plan, Johnny Walker could, win this fight if he's able to just do what Volkan did, and just get out of the grappling situations, get back to your feet. But Johnny Walker will play that game with Paul Craig because he himself is a jiu-jitsu guy, you know. I think Johnny Walker, if Paul Craig pulls guard, I don't think Johnny Walker is going to be freaking out to get out of the guard. That's the thing. Johnny Walker himself is a jiu-jitsu black belt, I'm pretty sure. So if he's in Paul Craig's guard, he might feel confident there, just hanging out, landing bombs. Problem is, Paul Craig can be half unconscious and then he'll throw up a triangle and lock it up, and that's all he needs. So I think I'm going to go with Paul Craig. I don't know why he's, plus 160, but I'm slightly leaning towards Paul Craig on that one. Shogun Hua still doing the damn thing. 41 years old. This guy's been fighting, since I was a kid, bro. Like watching this guy in high school. Coming off 2 straight losses, one to Paul Craig where he tapped to strikes. The last one, it was a split decision over OSP, but OSP is not really looking too good these days. He's fighting Iora Pretoria. Pretoria was on a crazy win streak. He was on a huge win streak, and then he fought Nikolai Nigamaranu, and he got TKO'd, and that was his first fight in the UFC. Now, his second fight in the UFC, he's fighting a legend in Shogun Hua. Thing is, Shogun's just, I don't even know why he's fighting anymore. Like, do you need the money? I don't think so. Like, I think you live in Brazil. Like, I don't know. The cost of living, is it that expensive in Brazil? I don't know where he's living, but I don't think he needs to keep fighting because this guy's a legend. He can retire tomorrow and go in the Hall of Fame. That's how big of a legend Shogun is, former UFC champion. But unfortunately, I'm going to have to go with Iora Pretoria, the Ukrainian, because, just Shogun's, just his time's up, man. Up next, RoboCop, Gregory Rodriguez. I like this guy, dude. I bet him. I bet against him when he fought Armin Petrosian. I knew it was going to be a kickboxing match. He lost a split decision to Armin Petrosian, man, but he looked impressive against Armin Petrosian. And Petrosian is a great kickboxer. That's all he does, right? He's an MMA fighter, sure, but his background is in kickboxing. He's got like 70 pro kickboxing fights. Gregory Rodriguez, his last 2 fights, he's got 2 vicious KOs, one over Julian Marquez and one even more impressively over Chidi Njokwani. So now he is fighting an undefeated Brazilian, Bruno Ferreira. I haven't seen too much of him. I mean, he had that one fight on the Contender Series. He just viciously knocked out the guy, Leon Ilu, in the first round. So I haven't really seen too much of him. But RoboCop's insane. But the thing is, I hate betting against undefeated guys. You just never know, especially a guy like this who's got like all first round finishes, right? This Bruno guy's got all first round finishes, a couple second round KOs, but thing is, he's not fighting top guys. Now you're in the UFC, you're fighting a guy like RoboCop. Things are going to change. So, I'm leaning towards RoboCop just because of the experience factor. But, like I said, I hate betting against some of these undefeated guys because you just don't know how good they are. Thiago Moises is taking on another Brazilian dude. No odds up. I'm assuming Moises is going to be the favorite going in. Now, Casa, on the other hand, has not fought in the UFC. He's coming off 2 straight wins, one in LFA, one in Presas. The thing is, you got a guy like Moises, man. This guy's been in there against everybody. Like, he's fought Islam Makhachev to Bobby Greens to Michael Johnsons to Joel Alvarez. In his last fight, he fought Christos Giagos, just rear naked choked first round. So you got to go with the guy who's got the UFC experience, Thiago Moises. Now we got Munir Laziz takes on Gabriel Bonfim. Gabriel Bonfim, he's on a roll, undefeated. Had the first Flan Flu choke in the Contender Series, which is not that impressive because in order to get a Von Flu, the guy has to be an idiot and hold on to the guillotine or hold on to the head while he's inside control, which is, rookie move. But the fact that he still got a Von Flu is impressive. All submissions, this guy. He's got a bunch of submissions. Brazilian submissions, makes sense. Jiu-jitsu guy, 13-0, 25 years old, first fight in the UFC. Now he's taking on Mooney or Laziz. Mooney or Laziz is for real. He does have really good takedown defense, and well-rounded, great striker. Mooney or Laziz is a very technical striker. I know he had that really shitty performance to Worley Alves, but don't judge Munir Laziz on that performance. Look at his fight with Abdul Razak Al Hassan, his first fight in the UFC. He dominated Abdul. This fight, I'm going to lean towards Gabriel Bonfim, but, this fight could go either way because you just haven't seen too much of this Gabriel guy. Yeah, you're doing great on the regional scene, crushing everybody, but now you're in the UFC. This is a whole nother ballgame. Now, Shamil Abdurakhimov takes on Jalton Almeida. I don't know why Jalton Almeida is fighting on the prelims, the early prelims. Come on, man. This guy is a guy you want to break in that heavyweight division, and you got him fighting on the early prelims. This guy's insane. I don't know. Yeah. So, Mahaladino, Jalton Almeida. This guy's an insane grappler. Insane grappler. Hasn't lost since 2018. He's just been on a roll. And his game plan simple: take the opponent down and submit them. Right. Problem is, Shamil Abdurakhimov is from Dagestan, and something you guys should know about boys from Dagestan: they know how to wrestle. Unfortunately, Shamil is not the greatest out of those Dagestani wrestlers. I think he used to skip wrestling class in Dagestan. He's not the most, if you've watched his fight with Curtis Blades got him down pretty easily for a guy, who's, born in Dagestan. That's all they do down there is wrestle. Shamil coming off 3 straight losses. I just think they're setting him up for failure, right? If he loses 1 or 2 more, you're done. You got 3-4 straight losses. No one really knows you. You're gone. And that's exactly what they want. Jalton Almeida, huge favorite. He takes Shamil down, which I expect him to do. He's going to submit him. So that's an easy one. Cody Stamen versus Luan. That's easy one. I'll take Cody Stamen on that one. Terrence McKinney. This is against Ishmael Bonfim. Are they brothers? Gabriel and Ishmael? Maybe. I don't know. I have to check that. Another Maheta, nickname Maheta. He's on a roll himself. 12 wins in a row, which is impressive. Only thing is, he's never fought in the UFC. Yeah, you fought in the Contender Series against John Doe, but now you're fighting Terrence McKinney. First fight in the UFC. Terrence McKinney's insane, dude. He's really good. He almost finished Drew Dober a few fights ago. I mean, he did get finished, but he had Drew Dober in a world of trouble, which was pretty impressive. I don't know with this one. This one's a pick 'em for me because this Ishmael guy's the real deal, looks like, and Terrence. I'm gonna go with Terrence McKinney on this one just because I like Terrence McKinney. Even though he lost to Drew Dober, I was impressed with the performance against Drew Dober, and Drew Dober's been looking really good lately. And yeah, I'm slightly leaning towards Terrence McKinney, but man, if Ishmael takes him down, it could be problems. Like I said, I haven't seen too much of this guy because he hasn't fought in the UFC. Yeah, you're dominating guys in the LFA, but it's a whole nother ballgame, man. And up next, Worley Alves, Nicholas Dalby. Question is, which Worley Alves shows up? Is it the Worley Alves that fought James Krause and Randy Brown, were, just not impressive? Or is it the Worley Alves that choked out Kobe Covington and, body kicked Munir Laziz? This guy's 50-50. There's fights where I've seen him and you're like, damn, this guy looks insane, right? And then there's other times you're like, is this the even same fighter? He's coming off, he like it's 2-2 in his last fight. In his last 4 fights. His last fight he lost to Jeremiah Wells. He got viciously KO'd. Jeremiah Wells does hit hard. He's on a little roll himself, but I don't know. This one, another one. This is what I like. This could go either way. Dalby's for real too. Lost to that fight to Tim Means, but he came back in style. beat Claudio Silva, has a unanimous decision over D-Rod. Yeah. This is a tough one. I'm going to lean towards Dalby on this one. I think if it stays on the feet, I like Dalby. If this fight goes to the ground, I think, if Warley Alves can use his jiu-jitsu, get on top, that's probably he's going to be his game plan. But yeah, it just depends what Warley Alves shows up, man. But I'm slightly leaning towards Dalby, but that one can go either way as well. And the last fight on the card, Simon Oliveira from Brazil. This fight is in Brazil, so they're just packing it with Brazilians. He was on a roll, Oliveira. Then he fought Tony Gravely his last fight, and just got dominated, lost a unanimous decision. Tony Gravely is for real, but now he's fighting Daniel Marcos, who is undefeated. Look at this. So the guy, Daniel Marcos, 13-0, but he's the underdog, plus 140 going into this matchup with Simon Oliveira. And I'm going to go with the underdog on this one. Yeah, I seen him fight against Brandon Lewis, his first fight on the Contender Series. Now both guys fighting in the UFC. I'm going to go with the underdog, but don't take my word for it. This fight, could go either way. This is a good card. This card is going to be hard to predict. Like, there's a lot of matchups where it's like flip 'ems. Look at Warley Alves, flip 'em. Ismail, even odds. Paul Craig, that's a close one. You go to the co-main, even odds. Figueiredo and Moreno, even odds. Glover, Teixeira, Hill, that's even odds, man. Like, there's some money to be made if you guys make the right parlay. There's some good money to be made on this one. So hopefully you guys bet with BetUS. Make that money. Only available in US, Canada, and Europe. So good luck, and let's do it. Let's hammer these bookies out.